webinar, which is the first in a month-long series of engagement that we have launching our Climate Chamber City platform. I suppose a bit of context for you. Glasgow Chamber of Commerce hosted our Climate Chamber mission, which was the main international trade event during Cop26, when the eyes of the world were on Glasgow in November last year. And this was our largest international trade mission that was ever hosted by a British Chamber of Commerce. And the mission aims really to build international partnerships and aid the delivery of ambitious sustainability, climate targets, connect overseas businesses with all of our Scottish companies from sort of Glasgow and the surrounding areas. And following COP26, and with Scotland's sort of world-leading status in tackling the climate crisis, we at Glasgow Chamber of Commerce worked with the team at One Earth to create the Climate Chamber City. And the Climate Chamber City is a kind of global community of leading businesses that operate with sustainability in mind, and really seeks to connect like-minded businesses to enable them to trade with one another, but with impact, and really unite to tackle the climate change. So as that direct sort of legacy project from COP26, within the Climate Chamber City, we're really aiming to promote trade and innovation and unity between all of our international businesses. And I'm delighted that today we will hopefully hear from two speakers, but we definitely have one on the call. Today we will hear from Lindsay Boyd, who is founder of One Earth, and then we're also hoping to hear from Iman El-Sharif from the Egyptian British Chamber of Commerce, and then we'll open it up to some discussion you all on the call. But our first speaker, as I mentioned, is Lindsay Boyd, who's founder of One Earth. And Lindsay really envisioned a brand new Earth where business industries and societies can come together on a platform for good to campaign based on shared beliefs and to shift the world into a new era, which I just love. So Lindsay, the floor is yours and over to you.
Thank you so much, and good morning, good afternoon and good evening everybody, wherever you are in the world. I'm going to kick off because we've all been online for like the last 3 years now, living online, it feels like. I'm going to ask you all to put in the chat box who you are, where you're from, and what question do you have? Because it's an intriguing conversation and concept that we've brought to the table. And today on the call, we have some of the heads of chambers, we have some businesses, and we're also recognizing that people can't join today and they're going to be listening to the recording, and that will be sent out to many different people. So what I would ask of you is to really make this an interactive session. We are looking for the good questions to be able to connect with you and discuss with you, how do we come together and shift the world into a new era? How do we create what we would describe as the face of modern business and the face of the modern world? And really, the topic that was at COP26, how do we race to net zero? How do we build circular businesses, and how do we really make a sustainable world, a sustainable earth for all? So in the chat box, please put your name, where you're from, your industry, if you're a chamber head or if you're a business and so forth. And please write down for me, what question do you have? Why are you here today? What question do you have? And or anything that comes up for you. Okay, so you heard from Susan. Richard Muir and myself knew each other well before the pandemic, and I had business schools running around the world where we were literally bringing businesses together to connect together around a purpose, to learn together so that they could grow together and learn how to trade with each other to impact change in the world. So connect, learn, and trade. And Richard came in one of my business schools before the pandemic, and there were many different businesses in that room, all shapes and sizes from all different industry sectors. And he recognized the uniqueness, like with the chambers that do it all around the world, of what it's like for businesses to come together around a purpose and collaborate, campaign and trade. And so when the pandemic hit, we had a platform and have a platform called One Earth, which is a platform for good. And it enables businesses, enterprises to trade on purpose. And Richard was obviously launching and running Cop26 with the Glasgow chambers and bringing all the other chambers together for this monumental event. And what he wanted to do, and what the chambers wanted to do, was to be able to create a legacy project so that when the event finished, the conversation and the event continued. And the vision that came about was, what if we could create an alliance? What if we could bring initially 10 global chambers together from all around the world, Glasgow being the beacon of this, and bring together Singapore, Netherlands, Israel, Egypt, or Africa, all the countries. And what if we could build this strong alliance to be able to keep all the momentum going from COP26 and help the businesses all around the world to connect together, learn together, and most importantly, trade together to impact change in the world. And so we launched at COP26. And for anybody that would like the video, we will get the video sent out after this first webinar. We announced, Richard and I, at COP26, the Legacy Project. And we talked about an online world, a city where people could come together from all around the world with these global chambers and the alliance, and be able to understand how you could impact change by learning the different methods from the different chamber heads around the world, their best practices, and bringing speakers and world leaders and business leaders and societal leaders all together to be able to speak around these different topics. And so this is day one of the future, although really day one took place at COP26. But really, this is happy birthday. This is day one where we're launching the Climate Chamber City. And we celebrate and acknowledge each one of you for being part of this journey with us. So you heard Susan mention, what is the Climate Chamber City? Well, specifically, the Climate Chamber City is to connect global businesses to trade responsibly with impact to create a sustainable future for all. What does that mean? A sustainable future for all. We all recognize where the world is up to, and now more than ever, we need to come together. And business leaders, it was always my belief when I started visioning out a platform called One Earth, that it would be business leaders, industry leaders that would make the change. And the institutions would be led by these 3% leaders, 15% leaders of industries, of society, and be able to lead us into a new world, a brand new world that was sustainable for all. Now, One Earth was built so that we could bring these business leaders and industry leaders together. And the Climate Chamber City is one of the cities on the earth that enables this to happen. So what are we inviting you to on the Climate Chamber City? You will be able to come onto a platform, and on the platform, there is a community area. And in the community area, you will have the 10 global chambers. And please know that this is the launch. So our vision is to have 100 global chambers, more coming on around the world. But for the beginning and the initial, there will be the 10 global chambers coming on. And a bit like a magazine, each one will curate their month for their topic. So this month, because it was Glasgow's initiative, they are going to be kicking off the month. And they have curated the most incredible month with some speakers coming from different areas. I'll let Susan talk about that a little bit more, but they've curated a fantastic month around bringing different speakers and their topic. And then each month, next month, Egypt will come on and they will talk about Cop27, which is going to be taking place in November. And all the businesses from each global chamber is personally invited to come over to Cop27 and unite with all the other chambers around the world and be able to continue building a sustainable future for all. And the topic that you'll find out in a moment is all around a green economy. Now, I've just got back from Bali and I saw firsthand what a green economy looks like and how they've been building that out in their developing country. So when you come onto the platform and you're all going to be invited onto the platform, you will be able to come into this connect area, community area, and each global chamber will take a month. And they will bring in speakers about their topics. So there'll be a topic on renewable, there'll be a topic on food, there's a topic on green finance with Singapore. And each month, each country will take a topic. And you will be invited as our gift for being on the platform to all of those different months of activities with all the different speakers, all the different businesses from around the world, and all the different chambers and the networks. So it's the most fantastic way of connecting and collaborating, and ultimately our main aim, trading together to be able to impact change. Now, I recognize that some businesses that will be in there are already hugely sustainable, massively building businesses around net zero. I met a few of them in Glasgow. I was very fortunate to be there, and a number of them have already got to net zero, and it was very impressive. Other businesses might not yet be there. So there's and other businesses might want to expand their knowledge of learning how to build a circular business model, how to build a sustainable business model, how to drive an ethical business model so that it's not just a marketing strapline, but you're driving it into the end-to-end of the business. And so the second opportunity on the city is to be able to come onto the city and go into a learning curriculum. And in the learning curriculum, One Earth, who has been running business schools around the world since 2012 and has been teaching for the London Stock Exchange and the London Mayor's programme. And the programme has always been about building ethical business models and circular. We will be offering a 12-month programme that enables you to either come into a classroom with your country or come into a global classroom with multiple businesses from multiple countries. And that will be an invite to you for a lower cost, or we're looking to get classrooms sponsored so that you might be invited to come into there. Okay. Faye, I'm now going to show you, there's a brochure that got sent out, and I'm going to show you the brochure because it's a lot of information to take on in one go, and it is, I'm also going to acknowledge this is a very disruptive business model This is a model that nobody has yet done, bringing 10 global chambers around the world, uniting businesses globally to be able to campaign together and trade together, being able to have them on the Climate Chamber City online and offline, connecting together at events, not just online and not just offline, and being able to move people from a place of silo where they're working on their own to a place of integrated, collaborative, where you're able to work together and collaborate together, not only with other people in your own industry, but also other people in other industries, which is where you really get the best practice from. Okay, before I show you the brochure, and I just quickly go through it so I can show you how to onboard onto the platform, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to ask you, is there a question that's come up for you that you would like to put in the chat box? Is there anything that you would like to know at this stage? I am more than happy to answer it, and or we can bring it into the end when we have the Q&A, but please put the information into the chat box, because it really is the best way of picking up any information that we need and or any questions that you have, so that you understand what it is that you're joining for the Climate Chamber City. Okay, Susan, how with the second speaker, I'll go through the brochure and so forth, and then you just let me know if stroke when the second speaker might come on, and otherwise we can open up the Q&A.
No problem at all. Thank you, Lindsay.
Okay, so with the brochure, I'm going to this is a brochure that got sent out to everyone. Now, I acknowledge that this brochure has lots of different information in it, so that you can really understand what it is that you're joining. Now, there's different types of people. Some people, like me, just want the headlines. So I just like to have bite-sized information and really understand, which is what I'm going to give you now. Other people really like the visual aspect of something. You're in a more feeling space. So you might look at this brochure and really grasp onto it through the visuals, through the imagery, and be able to understand it that way. There's other people that just like loads of information and will absolutely digest every single page in this brochure and read it, send us a long email and ask 100 questions. Each one is great. Everybody learns and digests in different ways. So we've put this brochure together so that it engages all three types of people so that they can understand what you're joining. Okay, if we open up the brochure, then you'll see at the beginning, it says what the Climate Chamber City is about. And there's a great video there from Richard Muir, and you were able to watch that. So for some people that might want to get the headlines, watch the video. For other people, really, that text is not very long. It's quite concise, and it does explain what the Climate Chamber City is about and why you're joining. There's then a really great quote that comes next from one of the Climate Chamber heads talking about why they've joined. And then this really then goes into what is the Climate Chamber City, that it's a multi-purpose platform, that it connects businesses all around the world to trade, that it's an international community of businesses striving with one language around sustainability and climate change, and that there's regular trade missions. This is the offline piece. So it's not just about being online, it's very much about being offline as well, and how the integration piece comes together. It includes what the workshops are and what the groups are, and so how you can connect with different topics. And then the three market gaps to explore. Well, why the Climate Chamber Cities come about is that it's all around looking at circular economy, impact, trade in the future. The second thing, how will businesses collaborate and unite businesses and industries moving new innovation and enhancing trade. And one of the main things that we've discussed is moving from silo to integrated, sharing supply chains, which is essential now because we need to join up the supply chain because of the lack of supply chain that's taking place in the world, and being able to work together rather than competing. So moving people from competition to collaboration, which is one of the main elements of the whole platform. And then how do we trade on and offline? So obviously Cop27 is one of the key drivers, which is coming up in November. And once again, we invite every single person from all the businesses around the world, from each global chambers, to come and participate with us, whether you'd like to physically come or whether you'd like to virtually come. But ideally you physically come and join and integrate with all the businesses. This then talks about One Earth and what One Earth is doing, and that we're changing the way modern businesses operate. And that talks about the One Earth platform and the different cities that are on the platform and how you can connect, learn and trade with them. And then really the value proposition, so the value for the businesses coming on. And so you're able to, like I said, collaborate and unite, and not just unite commercially, but actually unite around a purpose. You know, are you engineering a better society? Are you looking at finding, you know, the next cure for sustainability and looking at how climate change can take place? And are you able to bring your best practices in onto the platform? Innovation is really key. So how do we innovate to tackle climate change? That's something that's really apparent over the city and that we're going to bring heavily on over the content over the next 6 to 12 months. And then the main thing is, how do we trade to win partnerships? And our aim is so that everybody has at least one trade on the platform, on the city, over the next 12 months. We're looking for each business to have one trade and for you to tell us and share the trade with us so that we can showcase that and highlight that trade, not only in the Climate Chamber City, but on the whole of the One Earth platform. So really, you've just heard me say the value of the value for the businesses and what that entails. And then what you're then looking at, and these are the logos of all the chambers that are coming onto the platform, but these are now the initial chambers that are coming on. And so you've got Israel, Egypt, Singapore, Lancashire, Zimbabwe, Norway, Germany, Indonesia. We've got all the different chambers, Abu Dhabi, all the different chambers coming together and uniting together. Now, that's the big disruptive part, because these chambers have made a commitment to you, to the businesses, not only to support their businesses in their countries, but to help their businesses trade with all these other countries' businesses around a common language, which is climate change, which is sustainability, which is purpose-led, which is impact, and not just trading around a commodity. Of course, we all want to trade our commodities, but when you move into a space of trading on purpose around impact, your trades become much bigger, much more valuable, and much more impactful. You also are able to trade in a completely different way, because for the first time, you're not just going in and saying, buy my apple, buy my pear. Okay, let's do a trade. You're saying, you know, this is my purpose. This is what I stand for. This is what I'm known for. How do I come together with you, with your purpose, what you stand for? How do we go and make a difference in the world together and bring our businesses together and our people together and our cultures together and our commodities together to be able to make that trade? So now I'm going to show you onboarding onto the platform and what the platform really looks like. And the onboarding piece is relatively simple. You are going to go on, you're going to head on to One Earth. You're able to get a QR code, you put in your code, you're able to create your profile. Now, here's the fun part. One Earth is a gamified platform. So you're not just entering a static platform, you're entering a gamified platform that enables you to create an avatar and a house and put your house on a street of your country and enter into the climate chamber city. And that profile then enables you to be able to showcase your profile around a purpose. So it really is the first purpose-led platform, because people's profiles are not showing as their business or commodity, they're actually showing as their purpose. So if you look me up on One Earth, you will see my purpose is to shift the world into a new era, and you will see my profile showing up like that. And then you're on One Earth. And when you and if you turn over to the next page, you will see when you register onto One Earth, if you just go onto this page in the brochure, you will see the journey point. You can see your avatar there. You can see the climate chamber city. You can see connecting with all the different businesses. And then on the climate chamber city, you're able to see the keynotes, the webinars, all the discussions taking place, and be able to trade. Okay, now I'm showing you the monthly activities. And in the monthly activities, you will see that September is all about Glasgow, showcasing and kicking it off. And they're all about green energy and renewables. It then moves into the built environment with COP27 in Egypt. And then November, we are all physically and or virtually at COP27, and that's where we will be showcasing and using all the content from COP27 and highlighting some of that on the climate chamber city. December will then be COP27 follow-up with all the best practices, and then January will kick off with Indonesia, where I've just come back from. And in Indonesia, they'll be talking about nature-based solutions, which I'm super excited to hear about, because I've just been in Indonesia and Bali, so I saw it firsthand, and I really know how that's embedded into their culture. And then February will move into Zimbabwe, which they will take the month talking about solar farming, which will be fascinating, and how that impacts Zimbabwe and how the best practices can go on to the rest of the world. And then we'll move into March, which is food tech and Israel, and they're going to help us all around understanding how to take best practices from that. And then April will be green supply chains and supporting innovation from East Lancashire. So this is a taster of the calendar and the content of events that will take place. And this is lovely Anita from Israel, who did a wonderful quote from us. And if you want to read that, it's a really fantastic quote around why she's joined Climate Chamber City and what the opportunity is there. Okay. Then it moves into offline. And offline then is the initiatives. And so obviously we've talked about COP27 and it being held in Egypt. I'm not sure if they're going to come on and do the talk, are they?
She's not joined us as yet, Lindsay, but I mean, I've got the presentation outlined here, so I can even go through a quick brief. It will be a kind of quick overview, just to highlight the opportunities that are available.
No problem. Okay, so COP27 then is going to be held on the 6th to the 8th in November. And really, this is a wonderful initiative for people that came to COP26. I was very fortunate to go to COP26. It was the most impactful, thought-provoking event that the Chambers put on. And I remember standing in the room, and it was actually still in the pandemic, so it was the way that it was produced was incredible, with on and offline and physically people in the room, but people on screens as well. And I remember listening to the trades that were taking place and the partnerships, Lanzatech being one of them that we talk about, that does waste, that looks at bio waste and how they were able to transfer that bio waste into a fabric that they're now selling to Zara and Lululemon, and done a partnership with them. It just blew my mind, the different collaborations, the different partnerships, and also the networking, the different people that I met, never mind all the other companies. So it really is an incredible event. I can't stress enough how people should go to COP27 and really trade together and collaborate. So we'll come on to that in a minute, and Susan will go through that with you in a bit more detail. And then the last thing is just discussing around the resource. So there's different resources that are on Climate Chamber City. So if you want to do any social media, if you want to do any posts, if you want to do any comments, if you want to create marketing, there's a whole resource folder that you can just dip into and be able to use that resource to speak about Climate Chamber City. And that's all available for the Climate Chamber heads and the Climate Chamber businesses. And then the last thing is really Richard and myself. So this was the talk that we did at COP26. And for the people that don't like reading lots of copy, flick to the end of the book and watch that video. And that video is a really great video where I sat with Richard and chatted with him about why were we doing Climate Chamber City and what was it all about. Okay, that talks about the city. Like I said to you, at the back of that book, you will see a few pages around learn, and that is the other side of the city. So if people want to join a classroom and come and learn on a 12-month program how to build a circular business, how to build an ethical business model, you will also find that at the back of the book. There's a couple of pages, and we have a separate brochure for that if anybody's interested. I'm going to hand over to you now, Susan, so you can talk about COP27. Again, I'm going to, before we do that, invite you again to put in the chat box any comments that you have got. Obviously, that's a lot of information to go through. So any comments, any questions, please put it in the chat box. Remember to put your name, where you're from, so that we know where the question's coming from around the world. And I'm going to hand over to Susan whilst you're putting your comments in the chat box.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. That was fantastic. It was a good overview, but also a kind of detailed look at all of the amazing opportunities and huge potential that is available to all of the chambers and all of the chambers businesses to become engaged, and as you say, to really look at how we can engage and sort of connect, learn and trade, but doing that responsibly with impact, building that sustainable future for us all, and really shifting the dial in how we approach business. Not just for ourselves, but as you've mentioned, on that global community, and how we can really learn from one another and adopt that best practice that we will hear from across the year at our online events, and be able to pull that into our own businesses, no matter which country we're actually situated and resided in. So absolutely fascinating. As I've just mentioned, Iman looks like will not be able to join us today, unfortunately. So I will just give a very brief overview of the content and engagement that is happening through the Egyptian British Chamber of Commerce. They will be the programme they will be running alongside COP27 in Sharm El-Sheikh in Egypt from the 6th to the 18th of November. There is a full presentation here, so I can send that out to all the attendees after the session this morning. But essentially, building on the trade mission that we held in Glasgow in COP26, we've worked very closely with Iman and the team at the Egypt British Chamber of Commerce, for them to really continue that legacy and, you know, take that baton on and continue to really focus in on the sort of international chamber business engagement opportunity that is a unique opportunity that presents itself with every lucky city and country that will be hosting COP coming up. And I know we've obviously got Abu Dhabi on the call as well, and it will not be long before everything lands for you as well, and we'll look forward to engaging in the near future on that. But basically with Egypt and in Sharm El-Sheikh, there will be a business support forum running from the 8th to the 10th of November, and it's really looking at the road to the green economy. And basically it's that 2-day forum in the Cop27 Green Zone, where we'll be bringing together the best international businesses to discuss the latest opportunities around the Cop27 topics. So we're looking at sustainability, circular economy, future business goals, green finance, changes to achieve the climate targets, smart cities, highlighting all of the sort of sectoral benefits that are in there. And obviously alongside all of that, there will be your networking, your receptions, opportunities to look at and learn from case studies, and hopefully lots and lots of business to business meetings to really build on that engagement and that potential collaboration that can be done between all of the businesses who attend. And sharing that information from global leaders, global businesses on all of the COP27 topics, it's really the main objective as to why we will hopefully all be going to Sharm El-Sheikh in person, but there will be some online opportunities for people to tap into as well. And it's really all about sort of gaining the knowledge and connections to push the sustainability agenda through businesses, moving all of that forward, and very much sort of really dovetails very nicely with everything that Lindsay has just highlighted around the purpose of the Climate Chamber City. But we're really acting to sort of drive business organisations in the process towards the global green economy. As mentioned earlier, some will be a lot further forward in that journey than others, but there will be learnings and opportunities for everybody, no matter what stage of the road you're on. And the target audience really is we're looking for companies who are looking to do business in sustainably, looking to do business in Egypt, Africa, but just looking to do business globally. So looking at pulling in all of those opportunities. And it gives our member companies really a fantastic opportunity to showcase their best practice to that global audience. So just as a kind of a reminder, the key sectors that are being looked at in Sharm El-Sheikh for COP27: infrastructure, energy and renewable energy, finance, green finance within that, manufacturing, education and mining. All sectors will end up being covered, but those are just the sort of the half dozen key sectors that they're really sort of focusing in on. The business forum itself, there will be sort of 2 panel discussions held every day in the COP Green Zone, from leading market players, offering case studies, learning opportunities. There will be organised networking through a specialised conference app, and there'll be sort of dedicated sessions put in place for all of the attendees to the business forum as well. As I've mentioned, there will be a lot of engagement and activity happening in and around the Green Zone, which is absolutely fantastic. So you'll be in one of the hubs for COP27. We've also mentioned, the reception networking opportunities. So there will be lunches, there will be dinners put on as well, and there will be a couple of sort of different drinks receptions that will happen in there as well. Now we appreciate that a lot of people will already be going along and will already have booked to go to COP27 for Sharm El-Sheikh. So we can actually add this on, and the Egyptian British Chamber of Commerce have pulled all of this activity together. And for a single attendee, they've got their £400 price to bolt this onto your engagement and activity. Or if you're looking at 3 from your company, then it's £700. They have actually pulled together a wider full mission that includes everything in the business forum and exhibition, but they've actually added in the like of your hotel, your accommodation, your food, your airport transfers, and your daily transport to the green zones as well in there. And they have also negotiated a deal with some of the Egyptian airlines. A whistle stop tour through the business forum that the team at the Egyptian British Chamber of Commerce are looking to pull together and offer as an option for everybody to come along and just really maximise the huge opportunities that are available to us all through COP27. But say I'll send that out to all of the attendees so that everybody can see it. If anyone's got any questions, they can come back to me. But I guess at this stage, really it is over to you to see if anyone has any questions that you would like to put forward to Lindsay on the Climate Chamber City. If you've got any questions around COP27, we'll do our best to answer those as well in Iman's absence. But does anyone have any questions? If you'd like to unmute yourself, and if you could just sort of see who you are, where you're from, and ask your question.
There's
a question in the chat. So we've got in the chat, we've got Sinead, who is from the British Chamber of Commerce in Abu Dhabi. And she's mentioned that as we look forward to COP20 being hosted in the UAE, they're keen to support the legacy project following on from COP26 and hear more about the opportunities at COP27 in Sharm El-Sheikh. So Sinead, I hope that gives a bit of an overview to help answer some of that. But as I say, I'll send that information on, and I can actually connect you with Iman as well, so that if you've got specific questions that she might be able to answer for you, then she could pick up. But even with regards to when it comes round to COP28, which I know that you'll already be thinking of, and what your opportunities will be, and what you would like to do as the sort of the host chamber within Abu Dhabi, and what you'd like to do with the businesses and welcome them all along. We'd be more than delighted to engage with you and speak to you and give you some of the learnings that we were able to take away from Glasgow and with COP26, and some of the experiences and things that actually we could have maxed even more for more opportunity for our members. And just as things progress and move on, there will be new opportunities in there. So we'd be delighted to speak to you about that at a future date, Sinead.
I've got one message in from Roger, and I asked if it was okay if I could share it. And Roger is the business development manager for the University of Birmingham in Dubai. So it was a really good question. So that's why I wanted to try and read it out. So I'm curious, the concept of growth measured by GDP is fundamentally flawed as a concept of measuring economic success, as it fails to consider the impact on the planet and climate change. Promoting more global trade only puts greater pressure on the Earth's finite resources. How can we really justify more global trade and claim to be doing it sustainably, or in a way that will stand up to rigorous net zero criteria scrutiny? We need a completely different model of doing trade and measuring success. Do you want to answer first, or would you like?
Lindsay, you go ahead, and then if I've got anything, I'll add on to it.
Well, first and foremost, I couldn't agree with you more, I have to say, Roger. And one of the reasons for setting up the platform was not to continue trading in the way that so it's not about doing business like we used to do it. In fact, the One Earth platform is enabling trade in a different way. So the reason why it's a purpose-led platform and it's not a commodity-based platform is that the next layer of the platform to go live on trade is so that people can trade time, knowledge, and money, but around a purpose. So it means that, and my vision and my belief was that everybody in the world should be seen and heard, no matter where you live or the demographic that you live in. Why is it that somebody, I've just been in Bali, considered to be more of a developing country, and yet their best practices, the way that they do things, the wisdom of the land, how their agriculture, the way that they're doing renewable, how their agriculture and how they're farming and so forth. And yet people don't know about things like that because they're not seen, they're not heard. People can't actually speak to these people. So the platform trade is all around enabling people to come together and trade in a different way. So how do we get somebody in Bali or in Africa or in Dubai, wherever it is, being seen and being heard around their purpose, around not the commodity, but if somebody has a best practice and knowledge or something like that, how do you then trade with that person? And so where the platform will evolve to, and we've been doing this physically offline in trading parties, and we did it actually with a very large Big Four accountancy firm recently. You're able to trade time. So you're able to say to someone, okay, so we're going to showcase all these businesses wherever you live, so everybody can be seen and heard. And then you can see one of these businesses and go, oh my gosh, I love that they're engineering a better society. It's just one of our companies. And I want to give them some of my time. So I'll give them 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours of my time, or I'm going to share knowledge to the same value. So I might have some knowledge around engineering a better society, and we will share knowledge to the same value. So you don't need to pay for anything, but the value of the knowledge is a commodity, and you're sharing the value of the knowledge through purpose. Or I'm going to pay for something. So you may go, yeah, they're engineering a better society. I'm interested in impact engineering. I want to pay for something that they're doing. I will sponsor them, or I will support them, or I'll buy something from them. And then a percentage of that money then goes to supporting education. So what we're then doing is giving a percentage. So every time you are able to do something with that company, purpose-led, we're then be able to educate another company that isn't able to afford to come onto the platform so that they can be seen and heard. And that's how you trade on purpose with impact and not just trading commodities. And at the same time, what we're hoping to then do is be able to, we have different cities. So we have a travel city with 47 very large travel advocates, each with 1,000, 100,000 people in their network. They're on One Earth. So they will share best practices around trading travel. We have an oceans city opening. We have a bees city opening. So all these different cities will be able to also trade with the Climate Chamber City and share best practices around how do you be able to trade with impact and purpose rather than damaging the planet. I hope that answers your question, Roger. I'm more than happy if you want to unclick. And say hello.
Hi, Lindsay.
Hi, Roger.
Yeah, no, it's great. I like the concept, and I just send a quick message to you as well. It's that sort of skills, knowledge swap concept, which is, I guess, has been around for a little while, but it's a 21st century version of that. So yeah, great idea.
Thank you very much, and I'd love to pick up with you after. It sounds very interesting what you're doing. We are working with Saudi actually quite a bit at the moment, so let's chat and see how we can get you involved in Climate Chamber City and what you can be doing. And so
exactly. I mean, we've got COP28, of course, in the UAE next year. So yeah, let's connect offline.
That would be great. Thank you. And thank you for joining today. And thank you for the very good question.
It was a fantastic question, Roger. Thank you so much for sending that across. Anyone else have any questions that would like to unmute and put to Lindsay?
Hi there, it's Sam here from BCI Studio. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
We can, thank you.
Jolly good. Hi, I'm really sorry the network's been cutting in and a bit out with me this morning, so I've been dipping in and dipping out a bit. But I'd love to see the presentation. Is that something you'd be able to share with us at the end?
Absolutely, of
Wonderful.
course we can. Yes.
Yeah, no, very, very interesting. As a business, we work a lot in Egypt and North Africa. We've been there for best part of 18 years. We help the government within the built environment with their new cities program. We help them with inward investment. We work a lot with the Sovereign Wealth Fund and others as well. So my question really, other than if there's anything we can do to help, because we will be at Cop27 without a doubt. Will there be a sort of a focus on what Egypt is effectively doing at the moment? I mean, it's the most staggering set of developments that you could ever imagine. The new capital, New Alamein city, and the 22 other cities effectively that they're building, and they're doing it in a pretty sustainable way. Will there be a bit of focus on built environment and what they're doing? Hope so.
There absolutely will be, and on, if I remember correctly, Sam, I think it's the Thursday so I think that's the 10th of November. There will be a morning session on future business goals and smart cities. So really focusing in on how we can learn from what has happened, what has taken place in Egypt, and how can businesses deliver and benefit from their looking at their infrastructure, their construction, you know.
That sounds good.
All of that sort of the communications tech, sustainable education, etc. All of that around looking at, say, sort of smart cities and how we build that in. So I think that would be a perfect opportunity for you to come along and engage. And if I remember correctly, I think there's a speaker from PwC who leads on the cities and local government in Egypt, who will be one of the speakers at that event. So it's I mean, as you mentioned yourself, what's taking place in Egypt at the moment with the new capital, etc., it's hugely exciting. But more than that, it's hugely impactful, and the best the learnings that we can take from that on a global context is absolutely massive. And the fact that there has been such a kind of a sort of a circular ambition around it as well, so that, you know, they've approached this construction not from that linear traditional model, but from that circular model is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, lots of opportunity in there, but it's one of the key focuses.
It's a shame it's across the Gulf of Suez, because I think it would be fascinating for people to actually see it. I mean, you can see it from the satellites, from the satellite images. It's just inspiring. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable stuff.
Absolutely.
We have Egypt taking, well, they're doing post COP27, aren't they? And obviously we've got next month, you're doing this month, but then next month as well. And I wonder if we could get Samuel, isn't it? I wonder if we can get Samuel to connect in with Egypt. Maybe he can do some discussion about what's going on over there or something for the...
I'd love to. We're very happy to. I mean, as a business, I have an Egyptian business partner, so that's the keenness, I guess, around our work and the work that we've done there over the years. But yeah, anything I can do to assist, please. Because we, I mean, with the built environment piece, we do quite a lot at MIPIM, which you may be familiar with. It's a big property conference, and we run the Egypt Pavilion for the Egyptian government.
And we have a number of people that have been through our business schools in the built environment, and the Engineering of Best Society. Do you know Elliot Wood?
Yes.
So we've worked with them for 4 years.
Okay.
And there's a number of other ones, but have a look at their website and what we've done. We've revolutionized the whole one.
But yeah, just anybody on the call, if they'd like any, I don't know, advice or to share ideas.
Yeah, we should connect you in with them, because I think there could be a good, I think, you know, with Gary and so forth.
Worth a conversation, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, we definitely do that, and I'll connect you in with the man from the Egyptian British Chamber of Commerce as well then, and We
I know
may,
the guys there really well, but yes, please.
oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we're already working with them.
Yeah, as Lindsay's co-opted you potentially into
Yeah,
content for
like
next month.
I know. Why not?
Fantastic. Thank you so much indeed, Sam. I think if we've maybe got time just to squeeze in one more question, if anyone has one.
I'll make it a really difficult one for Susan.
Oh, you're evil, Lindsay. Mean. No, don't think so. That's not a problem. That's all right. Thank you to Sam and to Roger for your great kind of input and the questions that you put there. Fantastic. We've got another 2 webinars coming up in our month of activity from Glasgow in September. So we've got one on the 20th of September with Logan Energy and with Scottish Power. And then we're following that session up with another session on the 27th of September, where we're looking at the carbon neutral plan for the Glasgow City Innovation District, which includes the University of Strathclyde campus, which is one of our largest campuses, and that's really looking at in bringing in the carbon neutral plan for the whole of the learning quarter in Glasgow. And that one we'll be hearing from Roddy Yar, who's one of the professors at Strathclyde University, where he's talking about things like pulling the heat out of the River Clyde and using that to actually be able to heat the whole sort of innovation district in the university campus. So hugely exciting. So we will send those details of both of those events on to everybody that's on the call, because as Lindsay had mentioned earlier, in Glasgow, our month of activity really is focusing in and around sort of green energy and renewables. So as I say, that's the 20th of September with Logan Energy and Scottish Power, and the 27th of September with University of Strathclyde and Glasgow City Innovation District. We will obviously send out the brochure that Lindsay has gone through to everybody again. We will also send out the information on the Egyptian Cop27 business forum opportunities for everybody as well. And there's follow-up details in there so that if you're interested, you can take that forward. But it just leaves me to say a big thank you to Lindsay for joining us this morning, fresh off a flight from Bali. So thank you so much. The jet lag did not show one little bit.
Thank you so much. It did at 4 o'clock this morning.
Honestly, you're an absolute trooper. Thank you for doing that. And thank you to all of you for joining us this morning and for participating. And whether it is morning, afternoon or evening for you, please have a good rest of day. And we will look forward to hopefully seeing you all at our next Climate Chamber City webinar on the 20th of September. And thank you very much indeed.